Join us this morning, Mark Novak and Anthony Barula, talking about Airbnb. Is it a double-edged sword or a ticking time bomb? Let's reveal the facts and talk about it more in depth. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
The nervous sweat from doing the intro.
How was that? Was your first time you've done an intro?
First time in a long time, that's for sure. I think whilst you were away on your little cruise at the start of the year, I did a couple with Billy, but nothing like this, not with Mark Novak. This is my first time.
Hey.
Hey.
So
How did I go?
Airbnb. People
Yes.
do love an Airbnb, whether you're a tenant, whether you're a landlord. We love Airbnb.
I think when you're going away on a bit of a holiday, a short-term getaway, Airbnbs are now the place to go. They've disrupted the hotel industry so much. I mean, when I go away, the first thing I look for is an Airbnb. I just want to feel comfortable. I want it to be homely. I don't need those luxuries of a hotel for a little short-term stay.
There's plenty of photos. There's all different locations you can go to. It's always a positive time.
Absolutely. You develop a bit of a relationship with the owner. They need to approve you. There are lots of good things, lots of positives for Airbnb, but are they disrupting long-term rentals too much? Does it need to be mandated? Do more laws need to be put in place to reduce the amount of Airbnbs or the amount of stays that you can have there?
It's a good point, Xanth, because we are in an environment now where there is a massive lack of stock. There's lack of stock for people to rent. We're in a rental crisis. And I think the government, without really realising, never really moved to accommodate the Airbnb at all. So all of the rentals that have been repurposed to Airbnbs, the stock hasn't been replenished. No one's actually talking about it. It hasn't come up saying, look, we've lost off the grid this many rental properties due to Airbnb.
Yeah.
But it's a big number. Like, it's big enough that if you can say Airbnb to someone who's 80 or 60 or any denomination anywhere in Australia, they'll all know the brand.
Absolutely.
It's not a small thing.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like how Uber has disrupted and revolutionized the moving transport. They've taken so much business away from taxis. Airbnb has done the exact same thing to hotels and also completely disrupted the supply chain for long-term rental properties available in the market.
So again, if people are going to be using these properties for holidays, we need more properties. We need more stock. There needs to be more land subdivisions. There needs to be more apartments. We need more stock and it's adding to that rental accommodation crisis. Now, it's not as lucrative as you would think. If you want to do your own research, there's an awesome website called InsideAirbnb.com. If you go to InsideAirbnb.com, it's a free website, and they've actually, how do you say it? They have thrown their spiders all the way through the Airbnb data, and they've retrieved all this information that Airbnb doesn't particularly want you to see. So, Anthony, give us some high-level stuff off Inside Airbnb. I think one of the things you mentioned was an average rental was...
So I've actually got it up just behind the camera here, and everyone, I do recommend having a look. There is a lot of interesting data on there. So the average night per stay is $301 a night, with the average nights booked being 41. Now this is just Sydney specific. It's not the whole of New South Wales or Australia. I've just targeted towards Sydney. So 41 nights booked is the average stay. So what do people do for the rest of the year with that property? If people are only staying there for 41 nights, what is it utilized for in the rest of the year? Does it
I
sit
know
there
there's some
empty?
clever. Nah, it's too much of a big asset to sit there. So if you look at 40 days rental at 300 on average, and that's 12 grand, you can't survive on an asset for 12 grand. So I think one thing that people do that no one really talks about, I've done it, is rent out your property for Airbnb and take a holiday. So you normally, to throw a tenant in your house or apartment whilst you're away for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, capital idea, can help pay for your holiday. People are doing it. This 40 days in a year, I think, is also attributing towards it, or a testament of it. But what a nice way to bank, 10 grand cash for your holiday, to pay for some or all of your holiday when you're away.
Well, easy. You're earning money whilst you're away sipping margaritas on, I don't know, the Mexican coast somewhere. How
Yep.
easy is that?
It's a cracker. So be aware, guys, that people are doing that, but it's also disruptive because I guess there are some landlords that are whacking a tenant through the summer period. So if you're a Manly landlord or a Bondi landlord or something, it is a capital time to put your property for rent. If the Sydney average is 300 a night for Airbnb, I'm sure it's a hell of a lot more. I'm surprised it's that expensive, Xanth.
Me too. And I mean, I don't know if I haven't done a really deep dive into the data, but whether or not that's for houses, more houses are being placed up or on Airbnb, they would be more expensive, therefore
Yeah.
increasing that average monetary amount. But there are
So
close to 22,700 Airbnbs in Sydney.
yeah, wow.
In Sydney alone, 22,700. That's a big number.
That's a pretty big hotel.
That's a lot of people that we could put into properties that are currently struggling to find somewhere to live.
Well, if you consider a big hotel in Sydney probably has 300 rooms, to drop in 22,000 rooms, that's a big number.
It's huge. I didn't expect there to be that many Airbnbs at all.
That's a big
I know
number.
a couple of people who have placed their properties up on Airbnb, and they have it purely for an Airbnb short-term stay. It's not up for long-term rentals. They've purchased properties just to have that additional income floating away in the background.
Okay, so in a sec we're going to talk about the new regulations that are coming in. They're going to limit people on this. But before we do, Xanth, you also mentioned off air that entire homes are very popular on Airbnb. So if you've just tuned in, we're talking about Airbnbs in Sydney. It's the unspoken fella that's stealing properties from the rental pool in Sydney and making harder for tenants to rent permanent properties. It's taking those sort of properties off the grid for tenants. And we're inside the website inside Airbnb.com, an amazing website that has trawled Airbnb, and they've pulled out all the interesting data. What's the lovely Nicole got to say?
So Nicola said, my sister-in-law lives on half an acre in Lura. She has built 2 independent dwellings plus a studio apartment on her land and makes $4,000 a week on Airbnb, not counting the main home. Is this income taxed? I mean, the rest of us that work day in, day out, we all get taxed on that income. I'd be interested to know if, when you are earning such a good income on Airbnb, are you still being taxed on that too? But yeah, your sister-in-law, Nicole, good on her. That seems like a really good income just to be ticking along in the background, $4,000 a week. I'd love that little extra hustle.
What a weapon. Hey, that tax one is a scary one, because I think a lot business people with ABNs are trained on how to handle claim, lodge incomes. People that are on PAYG will see that Airbnb money, and it's pretty easy to go, oh, it's, spend it on the renovation, on the holiday, on the interest rate. It's pretty easy to do that. It's that tax thing. I think number one is probably one of the foremost things important. So let's wrap some regulation around this now. Tax is, I think, after you pay your tax, it's a very scary difference that makes. Vacancy. So at the moment, probably the worst hit locals have been Byron Bay. Byron Bay is synonymous for Airbnbs. Byron Bay Government Council is choosing to regulate Airbnbs fully. So some stratas in Sydney, for example, don't allow Airbnb. So we're getting let's get all this regulation information out of the way. So one, your unit block may not do it. Two, your council may end up restricting it. Now, that's pretty scary if you've actually made a big pledge to purchasing, spending millions on buying a property, to Airbnb it, and then council comes along and goes,
no, you can't do that anymore.
Can't do that.
You can only put it up for 60 days.
Yep.
Something like that. But how do you regulate that?
I don't think they can do it too well. I think the neighbours are probably the ones that are going to do it for the council. Watching it. So it's a bit scary that way. But that's Airbnb. Have we missed anything else, Anth, on Airbnb?
Oh, I don't really think so. Look, it is very much a double-edged sword. I can see both sides of the fence there. Those that have Airbnbs, just how lucrative it is and how easy it is to maintain some kind of an income floating along in the background. But then I can also see on the other side of the fence just how much of an issue it is causing just to put people into housing when we are in such a deep rental crisis. So does it need to be regulated even further here in the Northern Beaches? What are your thoughts on that?
I think we're all right. I don't think we've got a problem. Before we go, the most important thing I'd like to say is that you are not just renting out your property, you are renting out your body, and you are renting out your mind. And nobody accounts for that. And why I say this is one of our lead property managers at Novak has an incredible property and did Airbnbs. Super strong lady. It was hard to watch how grueling it was on the mind and how grueling it was on the body.
Really? In what way?
These tenants, with a review button, control the mind and the body of the landlord. I like that. Power to the Airbnber, but I'm talking, this is the cleanest property I've ever seen every single time it goes in for Airbnb. And if someone picks a hair in a bathroom that's over in the corner, you go from a 5-star review to a 8 to a 4.8. It crushes the Airbnb. So it wasn't. I think everyone's looking at that high level number. Everyone's looking at that high level number of
the rating stars, how many people have stayed there, the reviews. That's certainly, when you're looking for an Airbnb, what you look for: price, reviews, and however many star rating it is.
That's it. All right, legend. Have a great day, and we will speak soon. Airbnb.
Airbnb out.
Careful, it's a double-edged sword.
Thanks, Anne.
Take